Roger's sitting across from her at a cafe, pouring his heart out. She smiles politely, checks her phone, and nods absent-mindedly. He feels something sink in his chest. That's the moment he realizes the truth. She's just not interested. But what does he do next? Does he beg for her attention? Try to change her mind? No. Instead, Rogers takes a deep breath and chooses something else: acceptance. Have you ever sat across from someone you adored, poured your heart out, only to feel that sinking realization that no matter how much you gave, they were never truly there? This is the story of Rogers, and how he learned one of life's most valuable lessons through Zen and Stoicism. Rejection stings, doesn't it? But what if I told you that rejection is not a loss, but a lesson? This is the story of Rogers, and how he transformed pain into wisdom. In this moment, Rogers saw the truth. She wasn't interested. No long explanations, no cruel words, just a quiet absence of feeling. The old Rogers would have begged, asked what went wrong. But this Rogers, he did something different. He accepted. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control others, only our own responses. Instead of sending another message, Rogers wrote down one simple truth: if it is not up to me, I let it go. Zen teaches us to flow like water, to release attachment. Rogers no longer saw rejection as something to fight, but as a redirection, an invitation to move forward, lighter, freer. But Rogers, he simply nodded, smiled, and moved on. No resentment, no need for closure, just peace. True strength is not in clinging, but in letting go. The river flows, and so does he. Have you ever faced rejection? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit like and subscribe for more wisdom on mastering life through Zen and Stoicism. It was in this moment, watching her eyes drift to the screen instead of his, that Rogers felt something deep inside him shift. He had tried. He had been patient. He had been kind. But the truth was undeniable now. She was not interested. The old Rogers would have begged for another chance, would have wondered what he did wrong. But this Rogers, he chose something different. He chose acceptance. Rogers, like many, believed that effort equals results. If he showed her kindness, affection, and patience, she would eventually feel the same. This belief, rooted in attachment, was his first mistake. Zen teaches us that clinging to an outcome leads to suffering. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control other people, only our own actions. That night, he stares at his phone, resisting the urge to send another message. Instead, he writes down a simple Stoic principle: if it is not up to me, I let it go. Like many before him, Rogers had believed in the illusion that if he just tried harder, showed more love, did more, she would one day feel the same. But Zen teaches us that attachment is the root of suffering. And Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control others, only ourselves. What if I told you that the key to peace is not in holding on, but in letting go? This is the story of Rogers, a man who learned that true strength comes from release, not resistance. And just like that, he knew. She wasn't interested. No harsh words, no dramatic ending, just silence. And in that silence, Rogers had a choice: chase what was never his, or embrace what is. Stoicism teaches us that suffering comes from resisting reality. Rogers understood now. He could not control her feelings, only his own response. Instead of asking, "Why not me?" he asked, "What is this teaching me?" Zen teaches us to be like water, flowing, adapting, never clinging. Rogers realized that love, like the river, cannot be forced to stay where it does not belong. And so, he let it go, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. But Rogers, he simply smiled, nodded, and moved on. No resentment, no longing, just peace. Because he had already won. He had freed himself. Instead of clinging to what never was, Rogers turned inward. He embraced the Zen principle of Wu Wei, flowing with life instead of resisting it. He practiced a more fatty, the Stoic idea of loving fate, seeing rejection not as a loss, but as redirection. He did not allow bitterness to take root. Instead, he cultivated gratitude. The universe had spoken, and rather than resist, he chose to listen. Have you ever struggled to let go? What helped you move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Rejection is not the end of the road. It is a lesson, a doorway to transformation. This is the story of Rogers, a man who discovered that true strength is not in changing others, but in changing himself. She had made her choice. She wasn't interested, but instead of drowning in self-pity, Rogers chose to see rejection for what it truly was, a gift. Stoicism teaches us that we suffer not because of events, but because of our judgments about them. Rogers realized that rejection did not make him less worthy. It simply revealed the truth. Some things are not meant for us, and that's okay. Zen teaches us the beauty of impermanence. Nothing stays, nothing is owed. Rogers let go, not with resentment, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. He stopped asking, "Why didn't she choose me?" and started asking, "What is life inviting me toward?" But Rogers, he simply nodded, unbothered. No tension, no longing, just peace. Because he had already won. He had mastered himself. Rejection did not break him, freed him, because the moment he let go, he was no longer chasing love. He had become love itself. Time had passed and fate had a sense of humor. She saw him, smiled politely, expecting awkwardness. No resentment, no need for closure, no lingering pain. Rogers had already found everything he needed within himself. Zen teaches us that life, like a river, flows whether we hold on or not. Stoicism teaches us that true strength is not in forcing love, but in mastering detachment. So tell me, have you ever chased someone who wasn't interested? What did you learn? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit like and subscribe for more insights on life, wisdom, and the power of letting go.